When will political figures stop treating workers as pawns in a game of headlines and sound bites? It's time to call out the latest deceitful attempt by some in the UK government to steal the credit for a deal they had no part in making, all while trying to pass themselves off as saviors of the workers they've repeatedly failed. The situation at Grangemouth, where hundreds of workers are being thrown into unemployment as Scotland's last oil refinery shuts down, is not a moment for political opportunism. It's a moment for accountability. But, predictably, some Labour ministers have chosen to twist the truth, seeking applause for a redundancy package that was not their doing. The absurdity of this behaviour is not just appalling, it's dangerous. As workers at Grangemouth face the brutal reality of redundancy, they need clarity, not political doublespeak. And yet, what we've seen from figures like Keir Starmer and Ian Murray is nothing short of disingenuous. They've jumped on the bandwagon of a deal negotiated by Unite, the union representing these workers, with Petro-Ineos. Why? To ride the wave of goodwill without lifting a finger to help those in need. To make it look like they've done something when, in reality, they've done nothing but co-opt the hard work of others. The reality is stark. Unite's negotiation with Petro-Ineos ensures that 400 workers will receive 18 months' worth of wages as part of their redundancy package. This was a victory born of tireless effort and advocacy by the union, not a handout from politicians. Yet, in a desperate bid to claim relevance in the discussion, Labour ministers like Starmer have tried to present this redundancy package as part of a broader government initiative. Starmer even referred to the 18 months of income protection in his speech at the Scottish Labour conference, a misleading attempt to bask in the reflected glory of a deal that wasn't his to claim. Let's get something straight. The UK government had no role in negotiating this redundancy deal. The only thing the government can lay claim to is the rhetoric of support. The workers didn't ask for empty promises. They asked for real solutions, not hollow words that barely last through the news cycle. But with Starmer's recent statements, the union had no choice but to confront the Labour leadership over these attempts to rewrite the narrative. Derek Thompson, Unite's Scottish chief, has demanded an explanation, and rightly so. There is a fine line between offering support and trying to steal credit for someone else's hard work, and Labour has crossed it. It's not just misleading, it's insulting. It's the same tired political trick of attempting to curry favour by associating yourself with a crisis you had no part in solving. The Prime Minister might have strutted across the stage at the Scottish Labour Party conference, making promises about £200 million from the National Wealth Fund to save Grangemouth. But where is the substance behind the rhetoric? A series of vague pledges about income support and future investments do not compensate for the real, tangible needs of workers who will lose their livelihoods. They need jobs now, not empty assurances that sound good on paper but offer nothing in practice. The government has, at best, been sluggish and reactive when it comes to Grangemouth. The promise of £200 million is all well and good, but it does nothing for the workers facing immediate redundancy. The political establishment talks about transformational deals and tailored skills support. But where is the immediate action to protect the livelihoods of those affected? If the government had been proactive, rather than reactive, we wouldn't be facing a scenario where hundreds of workers are being cast aside while politicians squabble over who gets to take credit for the bare minimum. The workers at Grangemouth deserve more than political games. They deserve honesty, transparency, and real support. Something far beyond the self-serving rhetoric we've seen from those who claim to represent them. Unite's agreement with Petro-Ineos offers a lifeline to those who will lose their jobs, but it's far from a complete solution. The workers' futures depend on sustainable, long-term investment in the region, such as the creation of new industries and jobs. But to deliver on that promise, the government must stop playing politics and focus on real, actionable plans. It's time for the political class to stop using Grangemouth as a backdrop for their speeches and start delivering tangible results. The reality is that the closure of Grangemouth is not just an economic failure, it's a political one too. The UK government's approach has been piecemeal and insufficient, while Labour ministers have only added insult to injury with their false claims of credit. It's a farce, and workers deserve more than this. They deserve leaders who act with integrity, who don't try to hijack others' victories for political gain. They deserve politicians who will focus on solving problems, not spinning narratives. It's time for a change in how we address crises like this. The workers at Grangemouth should not be treated as political pawns to be used when convenient and discarded when the spotlight moves on. They need real solutions that extend beyond hollow promises and the empty rhetoric that we've seen too much of already. It's time for action, not words. And until our political leaders stop trying to claim credit for things they've had no part in, they will continue to fail the very people they claim to represent.